Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving right into the essential Arizona travel guide to figure out what actually makes the Grand Canyon State so captivating. So, whether you're trying to map out a totally unforgettable trip or you just want to geek out on the American Southwest, you are definitely in the right place. Let me ask you something. When you picture Arizona, what do you actually see in your mind's eye? Right, for a lot of us, it's just endless stretches of dry sand, scorching sun, and maybe a couple of lonely cacti baking in the heat. It's a super common stereotype, basically painting the whole state with this one giant arid brush. But, as we're gonna see, that assumption, it literally couldn't be further from the truth. So let's bust this myth right out of the gate. The expectation is usually just a dry, arid desert wrapped entirely around the Grand Canyon. But the reality? Arizona actually serves up these insane contrasts. We're talking lush alpine forests, hidden water oases, high-elevation ski resorts, yeah, skiing, and bustling modern cities. It is a landscape of absolute extremes, and honestly, that's exactly what makes exploring it so rewarding.
All right, Section 1, the Grand Canyon and beyond. Look, we absolutely have to start with the state's biggest claim to fame, 277. That is a massive number, and it represents the incredible 277 miles that the Grand Canyon stretches across northern Arizona. It's hands down one of the most recognizable natural wonders on the planet. And the best part is how you can completely tailor the experience. You can hit the South Rim, which is bustling, super accessible, and gives you those iconic, breathtaking sunrises and sunsets. Or, if you want to dodge the crowds, you can venture up to the North Rim for a much quieter, remote vibe. Whether you're hitting the hiking trails, taking in the scenic overlooks, or going on a rafting adventure, it's just this awe-inspiring anchor for any trip. But the awe doesn't stop at the canyon, not by a long shot. Right on the Arizona-Utah border, you've got Monument Valley. This place features those towering sandstone buttes that have literally defined cinematic desert scenery for decades. It feels like stepping into a movie. But beyond the famous photo ops, this is a place of incredibly deep indigenous culture. It's situated right in the Navajo Nation, and you can take these guided tours that offer a really profound first-hand look into both the majestic landscape and the rich heritage of the region. Moving on to Section 2, high elevations and red rocks. Now the landscape is about to drastically transform, and this is where it gets really fun. There's this sheer, almost jarring contrast between two places that are actually pretty close to each other. On one hand, you have Flagstaff. It sits way up at a high elevation, meaning you're surrounded by pine forests. It has this very distinct, cool mountain town vibe. You can explore the historic downtown streets, check out the famous Lowell Observatory, or, like I mentioned earlier, literally hit the Snow Bowl for winter skiing and snowboarding. Then, on the flip side, you've got Sedona. Instead of pines, you are suddenly surrounded by towering, brilliant red rock formations and the cooler temperatures of Oak Creek Canyon. Sedona is famous for its artsy atmosphere, its galleries, and some truly world-class mountain biking and jeep tours. Two completely different worlds coexisting right in the same state. Which brings us to Section 3, vibrant cities and culture. So, if you're craving a bit of urban exploration, Arizona's major cities deliver this fantastic mix of stark desert beauty and very modern amenities. Take Phoenix, the capital. The crucial takeaway here is how seamlessly it blends outdoor escapes with urban treasures. You really don't have to choose between nature and culture. You could literally spend your morning hiking up Camelback Mountain or wandering through the incredibly diverse Desert Botanical Garden, and then pivot your afternoon to soaking up the growing art scene at Roosevelt Row or getting lost in the world-renowned Musical Instrument Museum. It's a city that gives you total access to the best of both worlds. Meanwhile, just down south, Tucson brings this rich, totally unmistakable southwestern character to the table. It is nestled right up against the absolutely incredible Saguaro National Park. But beyond that, it offers these beautifully preserved historic neighborhoods, the stunning Mission San Xavier del Bac, and the renowned Arizona Sonora Desert Museum. Plus, and this is a big one, it has a legendary food scene. Tucson really leans into blending history, culture, and pure desert beauty into one fantastic destination. Okay, Section 4, water oases and photography. Let's step away from the pavement for a second and look at the unexpected and incredibly photogenic water features scattered around the state. Believe it or not, Arizona has a massive boat-in culture, mainly centered around places like Lake Havasu City. And get this, it is home to the actual relocated London Bridge. Yes, that London Bridge. It's a surreal sight. But beyond the bridge, the city is known for a super lively waterfront atmosphere. It draws huge crowds for fishing, swimming, spring break activities, and even desert off-roading right next to the water. It's an unexpected aquatic playground smack in the middle of the desert. Heading further north to a town called Page, you're going to find some of the most photographed landscapes on Earth. Horseshoe Bend gives photographers and travelers this massive, dramatic overlook of the winding, mighty Colorado River. It is one of those sweeping, epic vistas that just makes you feel tiny, but in the best way possible. And nearby Lake Powell also offers kayaking and scenic boating views that are honestly out of this world. And literally just a stone's throw away from Horseshoe Bend is Antelope Canyon. If you go, this is a must-see. It invites you into these narrow sandstone passageways carved by water over millennia. It's world famous for these magical, flowing rock shapes and the dramatic beams of light that pierce through the narrow openings above. It creates this dreamlike vibe that is basically paradise for any photography enthusiast. Finally, Section 5, Historic Small-Town Charm. These spots offer a perfectly quaint, human-scale contrast to those massive natural wonders we were just looking at. If you want a creative weekend getaway with a totally different vibe, Bisbee is calling your name. This used to be a booming, gritty mining town, but today it has completely reinvented itself as one of Arizona's most unique creative hubs. Picture colorful, historic buildings literally climbing up the hillsides packed with vintage shops, art galleries, and historic architecture. Throw in a remarkably cool mountain climate, and you've got yourself the perfect, quirky little retreat. Alternatively, there's Prescott. What makes Prescott stand out is how it perfectly balances frontier history with nature. You can take a walk down historic Whiskey Road to get a real feel for the old Wild West, and then right outside of town, you'll find beautiful lakes and massive granite boulder landscapes. Because it has a milder climate compared to the lower desert cities, it's an absolute haven for comfortable outdoor recreation year-round. All of this brings us to a really beautiful summary from our source text. Arizona is a state of contrasts. It really is that simple, and honestly that profound. Just think about the journey we just took across this state. In a single road trip, this one state lets you experience towering red rock deserts, cool alpine pine forests, impossibly deep canyons, historic mining towns, and rapidly growing vibrant urban centers. There are very few places on Earth that give you this kind of geographic and cultural whiplash, and I mean that in the best possible way. So from striking urban arts to quiet mountain hideaways and towering canyons, the Grand Canyon State clearly has a perfect destination for absolutely every kind of traveler. The only question left is, which Arizona adventure fits your travel style? Are you going to chase the city lights, the mountain snow, or the desert canyons? I really hope this explainer sparked your curiosity and gave you some great structured ideas for your next journey. Until next time, keep exploring.